Welcome back at perfect timing, and always a joy when we have time to sit down with our good friend Bob Just. He is the political commentator. He's the founder of Concerned Families, writer for Fox News, American Thinker, WorldNet Daily. He has a couple of websites, democratsforamerica.com, which could be a misnomer these days, and then bobjust.com. Either one of those will connect you with them, bobjust.com or democratsforamerica.com.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if the communists take over, it's going to be hard to hold that brand. Democrats, Communists for America, I don't think so.
It's just amazing. Hi, Bob. Good to see you. How you doing?
Hi, good to see you, Perry.
All right.
I love what Trump said about common sense versus communism. I think that pretty much lays it out, don't you?
Well, I don't know. We'll get into it here. So there you are in New York City. We're reading headlines here on the West Coast. We see you're going to lose your esteemed head of the fire department, the commissioner. He's throwing in the towel. Cops are leaving. Citizens are leaving. What happened Tuesday? How did New York go from 9/11 being attacked by extreme Islamists to electing one to be mayor of the city?
It's more frustrating than I can say, Perry. I really thought we'd pull it out. I think it's a shame that Sliwa didn't take the moment in the second debate to just, Sliwa being the Republican candidate for people who don't follow New York politics. He had a moment in the second debate where he could have just focused entirely on Madami, ignored Cuomo, and then ended up and just said, I can't continue this. It's too important that we beat a socialist who will really hurt this country. So because this country, this city and country, and so because I love New York, I'm stepping down. He didn't do that. He put his own, in my opinion, he put his own ambitions first. And that could have made a difference. It could have made a difference.
Okay.
But I think people voted emotionally. They're frustrated and not paying attention.
A couple things here. Let me just deal with the campaign quickly. From what I read and understand, it was a perfectly extreme left-wing executed campaign. They stay focused on one thing, affordability. They didn't care what anybody else said, think, or thought. They zeroed in on that emotion, and they won. It was actually, from that standpoint, it was a brilliantly run campaign. As crazy as it was, they won. The second thing is, I'm struggling, Bob, here, and you know me enough to know this, but I'm struggling with the fact that he's being identified as a socialist when he's really an extreme Islamist.
Yeah, he's a communist Islamist. People have said that Islam is just communism with a god. I've heard that said, and there's certain sense to it. If you're talking about radical Islam, for sure. So there's a natural connection.
Yeah, but you can't be an extreme Islamist and be a socialist. I mean, it seemed to me that socialism became a subterfuge, something to hide behind. It was more marketable to be a socialist than it would be to be a communist, Islamic communist. So he used the word socialism, as crazy as that is, that was more marketable than being an Islamist that killed a bunch of people on 9/11.
Yeah, and you know, it's a shame too. A lot of young voters don't remember 9/11 at all, Perry. That's a sad reality. They just don't remember it. They're not paying attention. Look, part of the problem we're dealing with, and by the way, this goes back to Bill Clinton and definitely Barack Obama, is that we live in an age of the appeal of smooth talkers. If you're charming, I mean, personally, Madami's smile gave me chills, right? A smile with the iron teeth, you know. But the sad thing is too many voters vote on charm. They vote on feelings, emotion. And so if you can go on social media and be cute, you can get a vote. A lot of people will vote for you because it comes across as, oh, he's nice. He cares about people like me. Oh, my gosh. Those mean Republicans and the mean Donald Trump. Remember, this is a blue city, right? New Jersey's a blue state. Virginia's a blue state. New York is cobalt blue, right? And so our fight, you know, our fight is to resist that, which is why I stay a Democrat, because, you know, Democrats won't hear it from a Republican. It's that simple. I vote Republican, but I stand on the basic principle that we need two under God America parties, two parties that believe in this country. You notice that Madami quoted referred to Eugene Debs in his acceptance speech.
Right.
Eugene, I'll give you some Eugene Debs quotes later, but Eugene Debs is anti-Christian, anti-God, globalist. I mean, he's pure Alinsky. They all come from this world that has nothing to do with this country. It has nothing to do with the basic principles of this country. That's why they're hostile to this country. Madami, especially, because you add the Muslim aspect to it.
If you look at the end numbers after the election, your city is well divided. He did not get a mandate. The
No.
biggest separation
50-50 split.
Well, the biggest separation I saw was 8 points. I saw it as little as 2 points. So whatever poll you're looking at. But that's not a mandate. So you're now living in a completely divided city that could be economically upside down within the matter of weeks. And I don't know, does Mamdani become the new icon for the left, or is it going to be Gavin Newsom?
You know, that's a great question. It cuts to the chase. This is to the heart of it, cuts to the heart of it. I hate the choice. It's like choosing between, Cuomo and Mamdani. It's a horrible choice. But there is a battle in the party. There's a war going on in the party. I'm, of course, way to the right. I'm a conservative Democrat, so I'm the way the Democratic Party used to be. But we're fighting now to keep it from being a socialist communist party and to get it back to being a leftist liberal party, if you can accept those terms. And that's the battle. I hate to say it. I think there's a deep strain in my party that's anti-Christian, anti-religious, and specifically anti-Christian. And it's very unhealthy, and that's the battle. That is the battle. And they've used Trump to help young people forget what the fight is all about. They've used Trump, not just young people, but all Democrat voters. You hate Trump, don't you? He's so mean, and all of this stuff. And of course, lying about what Trump is trying to do, when he's working on the international stage, plus trying to get illegal immigrants out of the country. And right now, ironically, Trump is dealing with the criminal illegal immigrants. In other words, he's dealing with the worst of the worst, as he always says. Wait till we get down to people who are just illegal. So they've created this. What Democrats do, Perry, is they create an emotional hysteria in the environment of the vote. No, right? Look at what they've done.
They're good at it.
They've shut the government down. That's going to cause emotion. They've resisted ICE, acting like they're the Gestapo, using that term, emotional, scare, fear. And all the while they're using fascist tactics, communist tactics, really. They're accusing us of being fascist, right? It's all smart talk, emotional, fear-mongering, hate-mongering, it's a nightmare, right? But what they've done is they've created this atmosphere of those people, meaning us, are dangerous. Trump is dangerous. Trump is mean. And people voted in that atmosphere. I mean, look, I've been watching this for 40 years like you. It's horrible.
Well, they get an A in blaming us for what they're doing. I mean, they get
exactly. Exactly right.
They do a good job. But one other quick question before I have to take a break. What happens now? Now, I understand some Jews and some even rabbis voted for Mamdani, but the vast majority of the Jews in New York City are against him. What happens to that community? Do they leave?
No, I don't think my feeling, being a born and raised New Yorker, although I love Oregon, I love Southern Oregon, but I know this city, and New Yorkers don't give up that easily. There may be some people who leave, but people won't leave if they think this is just for 4 years. That's my feeling. If they start to feel it's a takeover, meaning there's no hope for Republicans or common sense Democrats, the few that are left, to get back in power, then I think people will start to leave. But I don't think that will be in these next 4 years. Because, first of all, Trump is doing a lot of good. There's a really good chance the economy will turn around in the next year, and we may do well in the off-year elections, which is what it's all about now. They're going to try, as you know, Perry, being a former, Republican Party leader, they're going to try to grab the emotion of this victory and run it to 2026.
Well, look, it underscores something I've lectured on when I was chairman, and also even today when I'm asked to speak at various groups. The Democrats go through the heart to get to the head. Republicans go to the head to get to the heart. And believe me, it's a losing proposition if you do that. You have to go through the heart, engage them emotionally before you can engage them intellectually.
Yeah, you and I feel strongly about that. Republicans are logical. I love Republicans. They're the hope to save the country are, under God, America, patriotic Republicans. I mean, God love you guys. You're our hope, but second to Jesus. but the you're right. The reality is we are at our heart a decent people. We focus on logic. We focus on common sense dialogue. Right. Whereas the other side operates on hysteria and fear and anger and hate. Right. As I wrote about years ago in Fascism, Corruption, and My Democratic Party. We're up against it, right? We have to remember when it comes to communism. I'll leave you with this. I know you're going to a break. But when it comes to communism, in the great book Witness, Whittaker Chambers, who used to be a communist spy in the 30s, came out, blew the whistle, testified for the government against the communist infiltration of the government, including the State Department, which turned out to be true, right? And he said in his book Witness, the introduction is written to his children, warning them about the future. And he says in that introduction, we're the underdog. Right? Because this is a battle against the religion of the world. It occurs to me, Perry, that the religion of the world is socialism, but the underlying truth of it is communism, and communism overtakes socialism. But the religion of the world is worshiping man. It's worshiping government. Government is the highest order of man. Right. It's the battle.
All right, let me take a quick break. Bob Just, you can go to bobjust.com, democratsforamerican.com, a couple of websites to check out him, and we'll get some more questions for him when we come back. Okay, welcome back. Bob Just is with us, a political commentator. Of course, we've known Bob for 943 years. He's founder of Concerned Families, writes for Fox News, American Thinker, and WorldNet Daily. Bob, one more question on New York, and then I want to switch to another topic. Is Trump really that hated in New York?
No, I think in the election, he got around 40% of the vote. Of course, the map is changing. I mean, as I say, the next 3 years are going to be crucial to building the numbers in New York to be more conservative. That's my hope. And I think Mondami may cause some liberals, I hope many liberals, to wake up. Just final word before we move on, Perry. Mondami quotes Eugene Debs, which is a famous socialist from the early 20th century, who was put in jail for insurrection. Now listen to this guy. Listen to his hostility to Christianity or to the faith. He says, if I were hungry and friendless today, I would rather take my chances with a saloon keeper than with the average preacher. This is a guy that is referenced by Mondami, which means by AOC, which means by Bernie Sanders, that whole movement that's trying to destroy my party. Another quote from him, he says, I have no country to fight for. My country is the earth. I am a citizen of the world, which goes to my point about socialism as the world's religion, and communism is the underlying evil, tyrannous truth about socialism. Socialism has the smiley face. Communism is the hard, hateful face underneath it. And that's where we're headed if we're not careful. So we need to understand what we're dealing with. This guy, Mondami, is hostile to everything America traditionally loves. Let's put it that way.
Okay, one of the breaking stories today is the Heritage staff is revolting against its president, Kevin Roberts, who, as you know, basically defended Tucker Carlson's interview. This thing has really erupted. I guess my first question is, being close to Fox News that you are, Tucker Carlson gets fired from Fox News, and he leaves somewhat as a conservative martyr. And he goes out and he does his own show. And then all of a sudden, these weird conversations are coming up. He's slipping here and there, and then he seemingly now is buying the fallacy of replacement theology as it relates to Jews. Something has happened here, and then all of a sudden you've got major eruption at the prestigious Heritage Institute, where the staff is actually calling for the president to resign today because he's defending Tucker Carlson's anti-Semitic comments. What in the world happened to Tucker?
You know, I agonize about this, Perry. I really do. I don't follow Tucker. For me, when he was on Fox, he was appointment viewing. By the way, you know, I don't speak for any insider way with Fox. I am a regular, always on Fox watcher, right? In other words, so I do plug into that Fox culture in that way. But I'm not giving you any insider information, just for the record. But on the other hand, Victor Davis Hanson has talked about this. He's very gentle about it because he has a relationship with Tucker going back to Tucker's Fox days. A lot of people are concerned about this in a very real way. I want to defend Kevin Roberts, though, from what I know about this. And again, Victor Davis Hanson has talked about it, and so has Megyn Kelly and others, right? Everyone's kind of watching this now. Let me speak to Kevin Roberts first. Kevin Roberts is a great man. Kevin Roberts has been so good for Heritage. He's genuinely conservative. He is, MAGA all the way by my observation. Heritage needed that. Heritage was very important. For people who don't know, Heritage was very important going back to the 70s and the rising of Ronald Reagan. Heritage helped define Ronald Reagan. I can't say enough about Heritage, but I'm guessing that this is maybe somewhat overblown, but I don't know the details on it. What I do know is Roberts was trying to make a statement that we have to stop deplatforming people. We have to do what we can to not be like the left. We have to let people voice opinions, even if we vehemently disagree with them. We have to try to connect to them, communicate with them, commiserate with them gently. We have to love them out of their error, right? Now, I have to say, from what I've heard, I don't follow Tucker, not like I used to. So I haven't heard the conversation that was the hot button that you're talking about. But Tucker, my observation about Tucker is, and I disagree with him on war. I think he's gone, off the deep end on war. It feels too much like appeasement to me, too much like isolationism. That's my view. I love the opportunity to argue with him, but what I worry about is he's connected the war issue. In other words, getting involved in foreign entanglements, to quote, George Washington's farewell address. He's connected that to Israel, and I think his problem is that he wants to reserve the right to object to any foreign policy, no matter what, whether it's an ally like Britain or an ally like Israel. He's very rooted in free speech. And I think he's caught a lot of heat for objecting to certain things about Israel's behavior, Netanyahu's. I'm very pro-Israel, as you know. I think Netanyahu is a great man. I think this moment in the Middle East is practically miraculous. I think Trump and Netanyahu are right at the center of it. We would not have a remote chance for peace if it were not for President Trump and Netanyahu. So I think they can handle a little criticism, but I worry about what you're saying. I've never heard that about replacement theory. I hope and pray he's not a genuine anti-Semitite. All I can say is I hope he's not.
Well, there's a couple things here. Kevin Roberts, when you criticize your own staff, that's pretty low. When you call them venomous and that they are interested in canceling people, when in fact none of their staff called for canceling anybody, they just disagreed with them in their statements. And then to call your staff venomous, I think he's got problems. I think he's got serious problems. I think he goes into the office today, he's got problems, big ones.
I'll tell you what, this is a leftist dream, Perry.
Yeah.
And I've been watching, as I say, you Republicans are the hope of this country. And when I see division among Republicans, I look to the left. I look to subversion. I look to their.
That's where I was going with this, because this is playing right into this. This is divide and conquer, and the left media is putting a big wedge right in the middle of this and driving it home. Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so the other part of that is you got Carlson saying to Zionists, "You guys have a brain disease." Look. They have missed the big one. The big one is we can disagree agreeably on what we are talking about. We can do that all day long. But when you call your own names, you got a problem. And that is the open door for the left. And if the right doesn't get a handle on this issue, the one that we're talking about right now.
I agree.
This will be the one that will cause them to lose the midterm.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible thing. I have talked to different people about it, and I, of course, watch it being discussed on Fox News. I think it's a terrible thing. I'd like to see these people, including Victor Davis Hanson, who's a calming force and so informed. I mean,
right. Yeah.
when he talks about these issues. But the problem is we live in the social media world. Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said about you? Well, people are reacting. One of the most dangerous things to do is reacting strongly to partial information.
I get that, Bob. Here's my point. Why would a conservative, simple, why would a conservative not be Israel defending, Jew defending,
100%.
Plain and simple? Why not?
100%. Our only democratic ally in the Middle East, a country that has stood with us. I agree. Look, I'm a Jewish Zionist and I'm a Christian Zionist. I'm both of them. So, I had grandfather lived in Jerusalem and, since the 1930s, he was there for all the wars. I have skin in the game in that way. And I'm, as a Christian, of course, very pro-Israel. I grew up Episcopalian, and Tucker Carlson grew up Episcopalian, and I worry about that. I think, look, the big dog in the room, Perry, as you know, is Donald Trump. And what's got to happen, in my view, is Donald Trump has got to bring people like, Victor Davis Hanson, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, because Carlson and Ben Shapiro are really going at it. This is just a dream for the left. This is a dream for them. And we have to cauterize this wound. Right. We have to find out, is it absolutely, really, totally true about Tucker Carlson? Does he really believe these things? Well, and if he does, we need to try to persuade him away from it.
Okay. I don't know.
It's a shame.
The left has really jumped on this one and taken full advantage, especially the left side of the media. But it's serious also, because you can't be anti-Semitic at any level. You just can't do that and call yourself a Christian.
Not in the Republican Party.
And yet,
not among Christians.
And yet, this replacement theology is growing within Christianity at a level that's very alarming. Very, very alarming. I mean, I'll get off the show today. I'll guarantee you I'll have at least two Christian leaders that will tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, I'd like to know what they have actually against Israel. What has Israel done, this tiny country that has been battling
Yeah.
for survival for 70 years plus.
Hey, check out
Yeah, brother.
bobjust.com. He's the man. Hey, thanks for getting up. I'm sorry we had to take you from your nap to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you, Perry. Now back to sleep.
Okay, all right. See you later. Thanks, Bob.
All right, take care.